The moment you spoke, I felt an undeniable connection, like everything I had been searching for suddenly made sense. You had me completely when your presence filled the room, and I realized I'd been waiting for this moment all my life. The moment you looked at me, my world shifted. Nothing would ever be the same again. Your kindness, so unexpected and so pure, was all it took for me to know I'd found something special. When you held my hand, I felt a spark, and suddenly I knew there was more to us than we could understand. I didn't need to hear your words. Your eyes told me everything I needed to know in that moment. In one fleeting moment, you turned an ordinary day into something extraordinary, and I knew that was just the beginning. Your laughter became the soundtrack of my thoughts. That's when I knew you had me completely. The way you smiled at me made my heart skip a beat, and I realized that my world had shifted. The moment you reached out to me, I knew I could no longer turn away from what was meant to be. When you whispered my name, it felt like a promise that all the dreams I had would finally come true. In the way you listened, I found something rare, a true connection that touched my soul. You captured my heart with one gesture, one look, and I was completely yours. The moment you shared your fears with me, I knew you trusted me with your heart, and that was everything. It was in the silence, in the stillness between us, that I felt an unspoken bond grow stronger. The moment you smiled at me in that unexpected way, it was like the world stood still for a second. Your touch was gentle, but it carried the weight of everything I never knew I needed. When you spoke, every word felt like it was meant just for me, and I couldn't turn away. The way you made me feel heard and seen was all it took for me to fall. You had me the moment you cared without hesitation, showing me a love I hadn't known existed. There was nothing extraordinary about the moment, but somehow you made it unforgettable. When your eyes met mine, time paused and everything else faded away. It was your sincerity that got to me, the way you made me feel understood in a world that often felt chaotic. The way you made me laugh without even trying is what completely stole my heart. In that one moment, I knew you would be the one I couldn't stop thinking about. It was the warmth of your hug that let me know everything would be okay. The way you defended me when I didn't expect, it made me realize I had found someone worth everything. When you were just there, in the moment, with no pretense, I knew I was already yours. Your unspoken affection reached me in a way words never could. You had me the moment you showed me that love doesn't need to be complicated to be real. It was in the smallest moments with you that I felt the greatest emotions. The way you made me feel safe in your presence was something I never thought I'd experience. When you said my name like it was the most beautiful sound, I knew everything had changed. Your quiet support was all it took for me to know I had found something rare and real. The moment you shared a piece of your soul with me, I knew I couldn't walk away. You didn't just hold my hand, you held my heart the moment you did. The way you looked at me, with a depth I couldn't quite understand, is the moment I realized you had me completely. In your presence, I found myself letting go of everything I thought I knew about love. The way you listened, not just to my words, but to my heart, made me fall deeper than I thought possible. You captivated me with your sincerity, and I knew in that moment I couldn't look away. It wasn't a grand gesture, but something so simple, your gentle smile, that made me feel seen in a way I never had before. The way you cared without asking for anything in return was the moment I realized I had found a rare love. When you looked at me with such understanding, it felt like you saw my soul. You had me from the moment you made me laugh, like I hadn't laughed in years. Your words, so carefully chosen, made me feel like I was the only one that mattered. In that fleeting moment when our hands brushed, I felt something I couldn't describe, an undeniable pull. It was your vulnerability, your openness, that made me fall in love in a way I had never expected. You had me the moment you made me feel like I belonged, like I was enough just as I am. That one moment when you reached out, it wasn't just a touch, it was a promise that we were meant to walk this path together. The way you held my gaze and made me feel like I mattered was the moment I couldn't escape the feeling that you had me completely. In the most unexpected moment, you made me believe in love again. The way you made me feel in your arms was like coming home after a long journey. You had me the moment you looked at me with understanding, like you knew my soul better than I knew myself. When you opened up to me, I realized that I wasn't just a passerby in your life, but someone who mattered deeply. That moment when our hearts synced and everything felt right, that's when I knew I was falling for you. You had me the moment you took the time to listen to my unspoken fears. When you stood there, waiting for me without saying a word, I realized you were all I needed. It wasn't just the way you kissed me, but the way you made me feel after, like I was the only one in your world. You had me the moment you gave me a piece of your heart without asking for anything in return. That moment when you spoke my truth before I even knew how to say it was the moment I knew we were connected. The way you held me when I was uncertain made me realize that no matter the storm, I'd be safe in your arms. You had me the moment I saw you through your own eyes, and suddenly everything made sense. When you trusted me with your weaknesses, it was in that moment that I knew I would always protect you. The moment you let me see your vulnerability, I understood that true love was not about perfection, but about being real. You had me when you showed me that love can be simple, and in its simplicity, it becomes everything. It was the way you made me feel like I was the most important person in the room that made me realize you had my heart. You had me the moment you shared a piece of your dreams with me because I realized I wanted to be part of them. When you laughed at my silly joke, I knew it wasn't just about humor, it was the connection that made me fall deeper. The moment you reached for me in the dark, I realized that together we could face anything that came our way. You had me completely when you showed me that the most beautiful moments don't need to be planned, just lived. When you whispered my name like it was the most important sound in the world, I knew I was falling for you. You had me when you chose me, time and again, without hesitation, in ways I couldn't ignore. The way you made me feel beautiful, even on my worst days, was when I knew you had my heart forever. You had me completely when you made the ordinary feel extraordinary just by being there. The moment you made me realize that love doesn't come with conditions, but with acceptance and warmth, I knew it was real. You had me when you looked at me like I was the answer to all your questions. That one look, full of love and promise, was all it took to make me know I was in the right place. The moment you held me without words, without a reason, I understood that love doesn't need a reason. It just is. You had me completely the moment you became the calm in the chaos of my life. When you walked into the room, I felt my heart recognize you even before I did. You had me when you were simply yourself. No mask, no pretenses, just pure authenticity. The moment you helped me find peace within myself, I knew we were meant to be. You had me when you made me feel like I was enough, just as I am, without needing to change a thing. When you told me that my flaws made me beautiful, I knew you were someone who truly understood love. You had me the moment you held me close, not just physically, but emotionally, in a way no one else had. It was in that brief, tender moment when our hands touched that I knew my heart was no longer mine alone. You had me completely when you showed me that the best parts of life are the ones you share with others. When you trusted me with your dreams, I realized I wanted to build a future with you. You had me when you showed me how to be fearless in love and how beautiful vulnerability can be. The way you made me feel seen and heard was the moment I realized I was no longer afraid to love. You had me when you gave me your hand, not just to hold, but to guide me through every uncertainty. When you shared your passions with me, I realized that love isn't just about hearts, but about souls connecting. You had me the moment you made me realize that love is about choosing each other every single day. The way you made me feel like I was home, even when I was far from it, was when I knew you had my heart. You had me when you made me realize that love is not about finding perfection, but embracing each other's flaws. When you smiled so genuinely at something only we understood, I knew I was exactly where I needed to be. You had me the moment you held me close and made me feel like I mattered more than anything else. The moment you spoke my mind before I could even form the words made me realize how deeply connected we were. You had me when you made me believe that love is about more than just moments, but about building a lifetime together.